Cari fratelli e sorelle, and welcome to my weekly video blog. You might have noticed the title and you might have seen the picture as well. I want to talk about a war which I am in. There's been an issue for a while, but it has not developed into a proper dispute really until today. About 2 years ago, Verity Frierson rented out the end terrace. I live in a row of terraces, only a couple of terraces, and along the street you've got one house, then a couple of terraces, a terrace, and then you've got a bit of a break as there's a ramp down to a car park. And then all the way down the rest of the street there's semi-detached and more terraces, but they have drives where you can park your car. So our terrace uses the private parking, off-road parking at the back, because we don't have drives around the front. With the exception of the last house, which is next door to mine in that direction, they do not have access to that car park. They have a drive. Those with access to this car park have a second way into the house, because you can walk up from the car park through what's a little sally port really, and you can, and along that are all the gates that you have to pass through to go into the back garden of the houses. So because I have to go that way in that direction, what I tended to do was, when I walked to work, I used to leave the house and I used to go out the back door, through the garden, through the gate, down the sally port, into the off-road car parking, and then down the ginnel and away. The house at the end of the road, my neighbour on that side, does not have access to the car park. Therefore the little trail, the little sort of path, Sallyport, doesn't go as far as her property. It stops at my property. So that's one thing to remember as I will sort of come to it basically. Now, about 2 years ago, Verity Frierson were renting out that house, and she moved in. Her name is Joe. She does have a male partner, but he's not around very much. He's quite nice. I have spoken to him several times. Her, over the sort of past 2 years since she moved in, maybe, I have spoken to her maybe once or twice, and it's only been hello, you know. She seemed civil enough. And then one day last year, after the contract changes at work, I had started to have to do earlies and lates, which meant that I was leaving the house at different times of the day, and thrice during the week, but only 2 times during her working week, you know, the Monday to Friday, I would leave the house quite early. I would have to be out of the door at 5 o'clock, and I was still using the back way. Now, one day I came out. It was summer, so it was light out at that time, and she was sitting on the back doorstep of her house. This was last year, and I came out and I shut the door, and she said something about you know, can you not shut the door so loudly or something like that, because it wakes me up. And I thought, well, that's a bit odd, because she was already sitting on the back step sort of smoking, and I suspected that what woke her up probably was the aviary, because the aviary at that time had a lot more birds in it. It had quails and it had a lot of canaries, and they made quite a lot of noise. Now I only have 1 canary and no quails, so there's a lot less noise, and they don't usually make noise early in the morning or late at night, except for summer, because it's light, and when it's light they make noise. So I said yes, very sorry, off I went, didn't think anything of it, to be honest, and I just kept going through the same routine. And then about a month ago, I had a letter shoved through my front door. I hadn't spoken to her in a year, you know, since this time, and she hadn't spoken to me, hadn't raised any concerns, and I got this letter, and it was a bit weird, it was a bit childish, it was a bit, I have to travel 100 miles a day, and I do 12-hour days, and I can't sleep with you banging your door when you leave at 5 o'clock every morning. And I'm thinking, well, I don't leave at 5 o'clock every morning, I leave it twice a week, and I don't bang the door any more than I have to. It's not one of these Yale locks where you know, you can close the door behind you and just slam it and it locks. No, I have to pull the door to, push the handle up, turn the key, etc, etc. And why she hadn't bothered to knock on the door or speak to me when she'd, you know, seen me out or whatever, is a mystery to me. However, I did note that the gate, my gate is a bit stiff during the summer because the heat warps it and it doesn't quite, you know, that does slam a bit, and that could be noisy and could potentially wake somebody up, I suppose. I don't personally believe her because all her windows are closed all the time. She's never out there waiting for me except that one day when she had obviously been there for a while smoking. So I think she's either being woken up by something else or whatever. And to be totally honest with you, it's a bit asinine, isn't it? I mean, it's only twice a week, and, you know, if I was driving a car, would she complain about me, you know, turning the car on, that sort of thing? Because that would make a hell of a lot more noise. You know, I feel like saying, well, why don't you wear, you know, earplugs, dear? Because then you'd be able to hear your alarm clock, but not anything beyond. You know, if that is truly waking her up in the morning, then she must have issues. She must be awake, you know, multiple times a night with lots of other things as well. But because I am a nice person, and because I am sensitive, bear in mind that she rents and I buy, so I am under no obligation to do anything. I thought to myself, well, on the days that I start early, I could in fact go out the front door, round the terrace, and just straight down the ginnel. It doesn't make any difference time. It's just that I'm not heading in the right direction when I go out the door. So it makes no difference. So I didn't reply to her letter because it was a bit odd. You know, it was a bit please, 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 bit weird. Kept the letter, but I didn't reply to it. But I did react to it, and for the past month I've been going out the front door on the mornings when I do earlies. So the only time that I do leave through the back is twice a week. Once once about, I don't know, 10 o'clock, and once about 7 o'clock in the morning, which is perfectly alright. I feel that's perfectly alright to be making noise at that time of the day. I do not play loud music, I do not have loud visitors around, I do not have wild parties at all. Having said that, neither does she. So you can imagine my horror this morning when last night I had got home from work. I had left the back door open, as I do when it's hot, to let the air in, and I closed it to go to bed at 11:30 last night. And when I came downstairs this morning, I had to go into the kitchen to take my pills before going out the front door, and I turned to look at the back door as one does, and there was a note, a piece of A4 stuck on the window of the door with sellotape, telling me not to slam the door. Now, several things really annoy me. For a start, if she wanted to do something, she should talk to me, okay? She should ring the bell or whatever. Secondly, my door had been open all night. I did not shut it until 11:30. So there was no excuse if she did want to come round the back to speak to me. She waited until the door was closed. Gone 11:30, and then because she has no direct access, she had to have come out of the house, walked around the entire terrace, down through the car park, up into the little sort of sally port which she shouldn't be in. That's private property. When she got to my gate, she would have had to reach over and undo the bolt at the top, and then through she goes, up the stairs with a sellotape, sticking it on my back door. Sometime between 11:30 in the evening and 4:45 the next morning. For somebody who's complaining about the fact that she cannot sleep, she should not be awake at that hour, okay? If she really does do 12-hour days and drive 1,000 miles each day, it's bizarre, because I certainly do not do 12-hour days. And when I leave, her car's usually there. And when I get back, guess what? Her car's still there. I don't even know if she works, to be honest. You never see her, and you certainly never see him anymore. I don't know what's happened there. Anyway, there is the matter of the fact that it's trespassing. There's the matter of the fact that it is creepy. It startled me. It startled me, I have to admit. And what I think this is based on is her being a bit of an attention seeker. And I think because she wrote to me, she was expecting me to write back. And I never wrote back. I didn't write back because I do not want to actually leave a written record with her that she could use for, you know, other purposes or whatever. I reacted, and I reacted as concessionary to her demands, but I did not physically write back, and I think that annoyed her enough to sort of come round and try it again. What she wants is me to react in writing, which I'm not going to do. Neither at this moment in time am I actually going to phone her letting agent. I'm certainly not going to go round there. This is her problem. If she wants to speak to me, it's her responsibility to come round and talk to me. I have to be quite careful because I'm a male, she's a female, and if she is the Fruit Loop that she seems to be making out at the moment, I don't want to particularly have a conflict with her. I don't want her to burst into tears and go phoning people. Blah, 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 blah. You know, I have to be quite careful. I am also considerably worried about the fact that if I did phone her letting agent, she may take punitive actions, and if she's broken into my garden once, she could break in again and she could attack the aviary, because that's sort of in the open, really. I've got to get a lock for that. I used to have one, but I need another one to change because they've all gone rusty. I haven't used them in ages. What I wanted to do, and what I still will do, is a sign for my back gate. Again, what I want to do is I want to react to this, but without doing it in writing or without really speaking to her. And the only way I can think of is to express my annoyance at what she has done by buying a sign that says "Private, please keep out" and sticking it on the back gate. Then she cannot be under any illusion that what she's doing there is annoying, it's harassment, and it's just like, fuck off and leave me alone, sort of thing. I also happen to think that would annoy her because, once again, I have failed to give her the attention she wants by replying. If it does escalate, I will phone the letting agent and talk to them. And if I personally do find her wandering around the garden, or, you know, approaching the house in the early hours of the morning or late at night, I will fucking phone the police if I have to, because I'm not tolerating that. And part of me, the reason that I'm doing this video and hosting it online, because obviously I don't want to keep it on the camera in case she breaks in, in case she finds out that I've done it, breaks in, steals the camera. So I'm going to put it online as a time-based thing, so people can see, if this escalates, what the state of play is at the moment, what I have said about it at the time, the photographic evidence, and this is a war. This is a war, and I very, very rarely lose the wars. So, you know, I just have to play it cool. I have to vent my frustration, if I must, with you, and keep you up to date on that matter. You know, other than that, I hope the tide is turning, that things are going to get better, generally speaking. I think my cold is not too bad now. Really, it's only a bit of a cough every so often, but that's about it. So, without further ado, as I've kept you far too long already, let us have a look at the birthdays, and then I shall let you get on your way. And for the birthdays, we don't have many this week. We've got Azam Gillespie, Stacey Marriott, Darren Cruikshank, Karen Wickham, a friend from school, in fact, that's going way back, and Mark Barton. We also have Joe Martin's birthday. Now, Joe is... how do I put this? I want to say a really close friend, because he is, but he's also a friend that I've never met, completely online. But somebody I know from my days on the forum, and he has helped me. He has helped me quite a lot recently through some very, very difficult times. So I hope him and all the rest of those that I've mentioned have fabulous birthdays, eat lots of cake, and don't have wars going on with their next door neighbours.